Item 10B, receive a presentation on an advanced water meter project and provide direction to staff.
I serve as the city engineer for the Public Services Department. Last year, when we approved the CIP budget, staff made the commitment to come back with the advanced water meter project in more detailed presentation prior to moving forward. So the item before you is just a more detailed presentation of the advanced water meter project. And after going through this, we will seek your feedback.
I'm trying to motion that you need to speak into the speaker.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
Sorry. The existing water system consists of 11,000 residential meters and 400 commercial industrial meters. The residential system was installed in 1993 with a 20-year life expectancy. So being 2014, it's already exceeded their life expectancy. Phase 1 of this project focuses on this residential system. The commercial meters are planned for replacement in 2016 through 17. Maintenance and operation. The water meters are read by a labor-intensive touch system. Readings are taken every 2 months. Staff must physically turn meters on and off for changes in customer accounts. The system is deteriorating and accuracy is degrading. We replace or repair about 250 meters per year. An advanced water meter system characteristics. It establishes a communication through a radio network. Real-time usage data is made available through the internet to customers and the city. Customers and finance are able to quickly review account usage through the internet. The advanced water meter system the characteristics of it would result in a lot of labor savings. The labor to check meter readings required for account switching would be eliminated. That's estimated at savings of $92,000 a year. The routine bi-monthly meter reading would be eliminated. It's estimated at $160,000 a year. Staff resources could be reallocated toward preventive maintenance activities that have been deferred, including water meter testing, cathodic protection program, backflow prevention, valve exercising, and having a rapid response for repairs of detected leaks. Water conservation. The rapid detection of water leaks would reduce lost water costs to residents and the city. Unaccounted water costs would be minimized through detection of low flows. User awareness would promote conservation efforts. Especially under drought conditions, different programs could be implemented. Previously, undetectable low flows would reduce unaccounted water by 30%, approximately 16.5 million gallons per year. The short-term impact would be that we'd have the ability to immediately identify leaks, but there would be the potential small increase in water bills due to low flow detection. The existing water meters work by mechanical detection, and the ability to read these low flows degrades over time. The long-term impact is that we'd have a more efficient water system. Through the detection of small and large leaks, we can quickly address them rather than waiting every 2 months for the bills. Increased system efficiency may result in comparatively lower overall water rates. We purchase water through the SFPUC, and we also produce water through the wells. The more efficient our system is, the less we have to purchase and produce. Customer benefits. The water usage awareness would help development and implementation of water conservation programs. Leaks can be detected rapidly, reducing water loss. Future monthly billing would be an option rather than bi-monthly as is now. Phase 1, the cost is $5.1 million. Replacing the existing water meters only would be $2.2 million. Upgrading to advanced water meter system would be an incremental $2.9 million on top of that. There's an annual operating cost for radio licensing and software and internet portal maintenance, which is $76,000 per year. The costs of upgrade and meter system replacement would be recovered in approximately 6 years. During implementation, if we were to implement and move forward with the advanced meter system, customers would be informed and educated through door hangers and planned informational workshops. This is just a snapshot of the internet interface where people could look at their water usage. It's on an hourly basis. They could also run a report on how much they've used over the month or a week or a year and see any type of conservation efforts, how it's working. And then there's also a library, a database that they could refer to as well. That's the end of the presentation. I'm here to answer questions.
Any questions? Ken?
Can you explain low flow?
Low flows would be trickle flows that are going through the meters. Sometimes you have a leaky faucet or a leaky toilet, and they'll have low flows. Because our existing meters are old and they're a mechanical system, they can't detect the low flows. The newer water meters are much more sensitive. They use a magnetic system, so they actually can detect almost all the low flows.
So that's something that the resident can fix.
Yes, and that's a good part of it because a lot of the leaks are low flows and they go completely unnoticed.
And what I noticed the 2.2 million. I figured because of how many 11,000 meters and 15,000 meters that have to be replaced. So the actual meter will be replaced. 2.9 million to go to an advanced form, which also allows the users to see how. I guess I'm wondering how important is that? I mean, I guess it's a good service. Maybe it's something that the city can have, and I liken it to PG&E smart meter. I mean, how many people actually go on to to see what their usage is? I mean, I know it's a nice feature, but is it worth $3 million? What is the worth of this advanced system?
It allows us a lot of flexibility. For instance, the billing has to be, since the meter reading is so labor intensive and our billing is only done every 2 months, through the smart meters system, we could do the billing monthly because we're having actual usage data coming all the time. It also saves just the labor to go in to each meter to turn them on and off during account switches, and you also have a lot more data to implement conservation programs that is increasingly more important during drought conditions as well. So it's also for overall system efficiencies.
So what is the 2.2 million? Is that just the labor and
the actual materials and labor to implement the replacements?
Thank you.
Okay. Irene?
Oh, no.
Thank you. Michael and I were on the subcommittee that reviewed this for, I don't know how many hours, but we reviewed it quite a bit. One of the things that impressed me was the difference in what the new type of meter can detect, the leak. I believe it was was it 2 or 4 tablespoons of water?
I think it was
Six. Thank you, guys. So it can detect. It can
6 fingers of
detect.
water.
Yeah, 6. It can. So out of the box, it can detect that little of flow. I mean, it registers. Or
Right.
Okay, and then 10 years later, it can still detect the same amount. There's no
Correct.
degradation of how efficient it is. The old meters, the ones that would cost us 2.2 to replace it with the same kind of meters, I believe it was 1/4 of a gallon that it could not detect.
Well, correct. Out of
Okay.
the box, 1/4 gallon per minute
Okay.
is pretty much its threshold, but as it's been degrading over time, it becomes worse and worse.
Yes, absolutely. And in personal experience, I had a bathroom faucet that was leaking that I didn't know, and I finally figured it out and turned it off and then fixed it, and I saved a unit of water in a month because I fixed that leak, which I did not detect it in any other way. So that just demonstrates the effectiveness or the volume of water you can lose and waste unless you have some system of finding it for you and letting you know. And the earlier we detect those leaks, the less it costs you personally over time. I mean, I have no idea how long that leaked. So it's just an example of what the new, different, more effective meters can do. So.
Rico?
Yeah, so going over some of the presentation, my understanding is 92,000 savings is for somebody that has to go out to a unit, turn on and off the meter when accounts change or if there's a situation with an account. Then the 160,000 is for the person who actually reads the meters currently. We used to have 2 meter readers, now we have 1, and we're saying with this new system, then a position is being eliminated. Is that what we're saying?
We would, there's some programs that we need to implement, and such as the cathodic protection or the cross-connection testing, that if we didn't have the resources, we'd have to contract out for that.
Okay, so what I've heard, I'm going to repeat back, is that there would not be the savings of 160,000 a year because that person would be reassigned to other tasks or duties, but not doing this task. Is that what I heard?
He would be reassigned, but however, because we have limited resources, we would probably have to contract out those services. So we'd actually have to pay that amount for an outside contractor to perform those backflow prevention and cathodic protection programs.
So I'm thinking the answer is no, is what I'm hearing. Just simple.
The answer is yes.
answer is yes.
Those are savings, dollar savings as a result of this program, but that saving will be used for additional programs then which will replace the need for contracting out. That dollar amount would have been spent in
so
the overall enterprise fund.
My understanding is in that particular area it'll be saved, however it'll be absorbed, but it'll still be within the department. That is not a true savings.
Yeah, but what you're saying is we're not contracting out on the other end.
Correct.
So if you pay 168,000 for one thing and 168,000 on the other end to contract, you're going to save the contract amount and use that first 168 to replace that contractor.
Correct.
Okay.
You understand it better then. I know the $92,000 is also saved. There's a $76,000 software portal maintenance. So in essence, that almost wipes that out, right?
Yes.
Thank you. We're getting somewhere. Okay. So to me, there's not really the savings in that respect that is presented here, in my opinion. What I also wanted to know with this technology, and we talked about, as Irene had mentioned, is about noticing when the leak is occurring faster than every 2 months, which again can be quite wasteful and expensive to the homeowner or a resident. So is there something that it provides in the system that is monitored, that has a detection, and the city reaches out to that person and say, hey, I believe you have a leak, and now we don't need to wait 2 months, but we're being proactive, we're reaching out, and there's a system in place who monitors that? How is that done?
Alerts can be set up through the city, or I believe the residents themselves can set up their own alerts for their own purposes as well. Like if their usage jumps X%, to send them an email.
So obviously the resident has that option, which
Correct.
they would never have had before. They could potentially maybe go to monthly so they can better budget their resources. But my other question is, if we have somebody who's not going to use that resource or doesn't have the capability to do so, is there somewhere where the city then would be reaching out to them to say, we see a spike in your water consumption? You may have a leak.
That is an option.
So that it would happen.
Yes.
So the ironic thing is with technology and with a system that has gotten old, of course, and is not as reliant nor accurate, the reality is, and I think it needs to be said and has not been said, is that it's very likely that with a new system, our residents, our ratepayers, would see an increase.
They'd possibly see a small increase, but overall, as we're accounting for how much water we're purchasing and how much we're producing, the need for overall rate increases would be reduced because we'd have a more efficient system.
There we go. I just think that needs to be fair. I think we need to be very, very fair and open here and transparent.
One of the best things about it is the large spikes that come with a huge leak, they wouldn't have to pay for because those would be detected much more quickly.
Thank you, and I think that is something, and I had not the same situation that Irene had, but I had something too that it wasn't noticed for a while within sprinkler, and so it spiked up quite a bit. I think that's my questions for now.
Okay, anything else, Irene?
I just have one more question. We received a report from the company that is proposing to do this, and they've had extensive experience in other cities as well, and I believe they experienced a 5% water savings with the implementation of this. Wasn't that what it was? There was thank you. So overall, the system saves 5% of their water, which is more than our recent conservation efforts have produced with only 2%. So that's huge. That's a lot of water that we don't pay for, that the individual person doesn't have to pay for, and that we don't waste. I mean, that's clean, beautiful water that we're not wasting. So that's just a comment I want to make.
Thank you. I'm sorry, and I apologize. I had one. On the new technology that we're going to have, does this include training? And is that going to be able to be handled by our own IT, or is that additional cost to have somebody on as far as a resource and upgrades and all of that? Is there any additional cost on what's listed here?
Training is included, and the software upgrades are also included. It's part of the package.
Thank you.
Okay. Irene?
I know, I'm sorry. And one more, they're also going to train our finance people, because the questions often come to the finance people, like, why is my bill this or that or whatever? And those people will also be trained. We had a representative from the finance department who came to the subcommittee meeting and heard all the different information, and she was quite excited about learning this new system and how it was, and she was very pleased that everyone would be trained, and gave an update. So,
Okay.
good question.
We have a general consensus to go provide direction to staff to go forward with this? Ken? Yes? Rico?
No,
Absolutely.
Mayor, I appreciate this, this prelude, this preliminary report, because it's $5.1 million. And I think instead of us getting it and making a decision, right away, I think it gives us an opportunity to, hash it over, ask questions, get to know it a little better. When I first saw this during the budget cycle, it just jumped out at me. So the numbers now, from what's been provided in the staff report, are remarkable as far as what's being wasted. And then personally, you talk to a resident who has experienced a spike. with very little knowledge of why it spiked, you really can't explain it, and it's because the system's old. So I think again, this is the way of the future. It's time to replace it, and I'm very impressed that it's that the estimate is it'll pay for itself in 6 years too. That's a rate. Isn't that a rate cycle? 6 years. Thank you.
Okay, you have your direction?
Mr. Mayor, just to be clear, we appreciate your attention and your interest and your guidance tonight. The next step will be for staff to work on the negotiation and development of a sole source contract with the vendor. We'll explain the details about that when we return in approximately, I believe, 2 to 3 months. Is that correct? To ask for your action to award a contract for implementation of the system. So we're excited to be moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good.